Howdy everyone, it's Matt at Covenanter Homestead. I want to make a quick video today about our manure box. You may have seen in some of our other videos we have some cows and a donkey and chickens, and this is where we like to compost their manure. Of course, cow manure doesn't need to be composted quite as long as chicken manure, but it still gets about 6 months. We don't go through it that fast, so we usually leave it. It stays in one side for about, let's see, I started that box in mid-November, so almost 4 months just in that box collecting it. And as you can see, I'm running out of room. It's about a 4 cubic foot box, and then I turn it over into this side, and let me tell you, that stuff heats up. When I was turning it over a couple times ago, I kind of lost my balance and fell into the middle of the pile on my hand, and it literally burnt my hand. Now that's probably a little bit too hot. You don't want it to get quite that hot. I probably should have turned it before that, but it does heat up in the center. I mean, you can see it doesn't heat up enough to kill everything. Of course, these things may have fallen on top of it throughout the last several months, but it heats up enough to kill most pathogens and weeds, weed seeds and so forth. And I'll tell you, when I was digging through this and putting it in the garden, getting ready for the spring plant, I had earthworms the size of PVC pipes in there, which is a great sign, because we have had such bad soil for so long. The soil here has just been degraded, and we didn't really know what we were doing at first when we first moved here, and we've kind of been learning as we go. And it's just been a process of about the last 5 years or so of adding organic matter to the garden repeatedly, and it's been getting better every year, and each year the harvest gets a little better. The vegetables and things that we grow themselves are bigger, they grow faster, they withstand the heat and drought conditions better. So we're excited. This is the time of year we get excited. And our trees that we've planted over the years, you know, each year they get a little bit bigger. We're looking forward to the day when we'll have a little bit more shade. That's one thing we've learned, is that when they say give a plant full sun, they don't have Texas sun in mind. And it doesn't take much for just 3 or 4 hours of afternoon sun, and it gets to the point where you can't even water the plants enough to keep them alive. So hoping to get some of these trees that we've planted over the years to get taller, get some shade on this place, and also plant some new trees this year to continue that. But the most important thing you grow in your garden is your soil, and as I said, that's been getting better and better. And then now that we've got these large amounts of manure from the cows that we got last year, we've seen an exponential increase in fertility. And this year's fall garden was the first time we really were adding this to the soil, and it really jump-started everything. So basically what we do is each morning before I let the cows out into the pasture, we just get a couple of 5-gallon buckets and a pitchfork, and we collect what they've dropped in the dry lot. Of course, during the day we want them to drop it out in the pasture to fertilize the pasture, but we get what they drop overnight, bring it with a cart, dump it in here. And then, like I said, up to now it's taken 3 to 4 months to fill up one side, and then we'll turn it over into this side, and then we'll start on that one again. And by the time that one's full, the stuff over here should be ready. This stuff's got to come out, so I'm running out of room. So this stuff's got to come out in the next week or two. We'll be ready to plant when it warms up a little bit. So this we'll put in the garden, or we'll find some place for it. The problem is, as you can see, we've had rain since September pretty much, and it has not dried out. So we're doing more damage when we trudge around in there than anything, so we're trying to not do that until we have to. As you can see, we have a lot of the wood chips in there. We tried the wood chip method for the last couple years. It did help with fertility, it did help with keeping moisture in the ground, but we noticed that it did not help when we would get a heavy rain. The erosion was terrible and the drainage was terrible, and we just have mud holes everywhere, and your legs would sink into the ground when you walked out here. So it doesn't look pretty, but we're just going to let stuff grow, grass and weeds and whatnot, grow back to hold the soil together. And we'll just have to make sure that we keep that cut down so that it doesn't get into the raised beds, or go to seed and start putting weeds everywhere. And we'll see how that works again. But you know, you never know till you try. I'm not saying that the wood chip method is bad, it just didn't necessarily work for us. So I encourage you to try it. If you've seen Paul Gauchi or some of the other guys with the Back to Eden method, I encourage you to try it, because in theory it's a great method, but it just didn't really seem to work for our conditions. So we're just going to let the grass grow back over most of it, and that way it'll hold the soil together and provide a covering for the soil and so forth. But that means you're going to have to stay on top of it. Can't let it go to seed or get out of control. So anyway, just want to kind of show y'all quickly I don't guess 6 minutes is very quick, but talk about the manure box. And if you do have cows, I would encourage you, and chickens, you can clean out the chicken coop and compost it as well in here. For, you know, do it for at least 6 months with chicken manure. But yeah, it's tons, literally. We get about 25-30 pounds every day, and you're getting tons of free and very good compost manure. So I encourage you to do that. Until next time, have a good day.